Watch this.
If it weren't for the human connection that occurs in a crisis, I think it could be a lot worse. And our town has a strong community.
More than one fire tore through central Idaho over the summer, and it shut down this stunning small town of Stanely. Now, the small community is sticking together to make a big comeback. We're answering more election questions, like why would former President Trump's name come first on the ballot? But wait, Kamala Harris is first on that one. The answer? It's not always the same. And an Idaho icon got a new coat of paint, but it's also getting a new gig that doesn't involve housing dogs at their bed and breakfast. We'll take you to Dog Bark Park. 2 fires hit central Idaho very hard over the summer, burning through 4 different national forests. Those fires were not too far from a very popular summer destination and vacation spot for Idahoans and people from the region. The Bench Lake fire broke out in early July. Officials say that was caused by people. In total, that one burned nearly 2,600 acres, and it's currently 90% contained. Yeah, they're still working on all those fires, by the way. The Redfish Lake Lodge was under threats of the fire, getting closer and closer to the lodge. Campers and workers forced to evacuate while the fire was burning. They reopened in some stages towards the end of July. But then the Wapiti fire broke out July 24th. And investigators say that one was caused by lightning. But the Wapiti fire forced the people that live west of Stanley to evacuate. That fire burned over 120,000 acres. That one also 90% contained. So businesses in Stanley, they make the bulk of their money during their summer months, but it's harder to do that when battling poor air quality and fire evacuations. Business owners say that foot traffic in town was low. Aspen Shumpert spent a day up with the locals talking with business leaders about how they're rebuilding.
A drive along Highway 21 will take you to Stanley, in the eastern shadow of Idaho's Sawtooth Range.
Stanley's always just a great getaway.
A town with just over 100 residents. It swells with sightseers and trail seekers in the summertime.
Hi.
Business owners try to meet their yearly budget.
And then a Reuben, you said?
In just 4 months.
We get thousands of tourists who are here to recreate in the mountains and rivers.
3608 for you.
That we're so close by.
All right, thank you so much.
That's our main product, hospitality in this town.
But a drive there these days, visitors get another view of Stanley. One that stands out, almost as what's left of a summer, waylaid by wildfires.
One night that we had a string band playing, and you could see flames on the ridge line behind it, and it was this, well, it was a surreal moment, I'll say.
Tim Cron has owned the Stanley Bakery for 21 years and the Sawtooth Hotel for the last 16.
We've had wildfires almost every year, but never this close.
In July, the Sawtooths were hit with 2 back-to-back wildfires. And although the town survived without losing any buildings, the damage was still done to local businesses.
I felt like we lost momentum, and then it was hard to build it back up. There was moments that were good in there, but it just wasn't consistently solid business.
Jim Slanitz has owned the casino club for the last 5 years. He says this summer was the slowest yet.
You know, I've talked to more firefighters in the last month than I probably have in the rest of my life. So
can't control acts of, Mother Nature.
But even for the newest business owner in town, he knew the calm after the storm was unusual.
What was it like after that?
Slow.
For Trip Costas, it was his first summer owning the Rotting Gun, after its owners of 53 years sold it.
It's like doing business on an island in a way. You're in this rugged mountain environment, and that certainly presents its set of challenges.
And he really only experienced a month of typical seasonal business.
We could see the business just doing this. I mean, it was just a steady 20% week over week increase over the previous week, and then it kind of plateaued at the Bench Lakes fire, and then we kind of started going up again, and then Wapiti came and really threw a curveball at us for sure.
Business dried up overnight. The question faced for all was smoke, evacuations, and no one coming to town. Was it worth staying open?
It was both easy and hard.
For the Rod and Gun, it was, but not for many others.
In all our years doing this, we've never had to shutter the doors. We've kind of always persevered through wildfires.
The bakery closed up shop for 9 days. It was a break to roll with the punches. The casino club took it one day at a time.
There was days we were like, okay, let's open up for tomorrow, and it would just be smoked in and just almost apocalyptic, and we'd go like, okay, like this is not, we shouldn't have opened today. And then we would, then we would close like the next, to say, okay, we're not open the next couple of days, because we were kind of playing it by ear, because you didn't know what the next day was going to bring.
He says it was impossible to find a strategy, and most of his seasonal workers called it early.
We got down to a skeleton crew, so we were able to kind of make it work. And that was okay. So we did keep people employed, and everyone that wanted to be here and be employed, we kept them on.
They even canceled one of their summer concerts.
It was a tough one to, because you have the band booked and you want to stand by your obligations to them, and we just didn't have the numbers that I know we would have had not the fire been going on.
In the end, Casino Club was about 25% down in sales compared to the summer before.
I think 1A plates are probably half our business in the summer, and if you take away that, you've cut it way down.
Yeah, I think there was a certain perception, even if it was well-meaning, that the town was literally on fire, that we personally were on fire, and it became a bit frustrating to battle back against that.
But once the smoke cleared, Costas says it was like falling in love for the first time.
Just missing those mountains for, a month, even when you could see them, but it was through a smoky haze, but then just having them in all of their glory again, I was like, this is really cool, because I get to fall in love with the Sawtooths again.
There's one word that all three of these Stanely owners agreed to describe this season.
I think Stanley is a pretty resilient place.
This small business community is resilient.
Yeah, I mean, the city's resilient.
Closing the books on this summer, Stanley is banking on reigniting the town's economic spark.
I make sure I got everything.
Instead of more fires.
How are your rest of your day?
Stanley can't wait for visitors to come back, and that's the simple solution to all of this is come visit us.
These businesses are wrapping up their last few weeks of business before they enter slack time, and they take a break before winter season hits. Joe, these businesses are excited for winter season. They do a lot of winter activities up there in Stanley, and so they're excited to greet people here shortly in the next few months.
And if you're looking for something to do this weekend or something, I think that would be a good spot to be up there. I'm just so curious, we spoke to a few businesses. What about the other parts of Stanley?
Yeah, these were just a few of the businesses that were impacted by the wildfires. I know Abby Davis talked to Redfish Lodge, and coming up on the news at 10, you're going to hear from them, as well as Stanley's mayor, about the impact of wildfires that it had on businesses this season.
Okay, good perspective on a place that so many of us love to visit. Thank you so much, Aspen. All right, 19 days until the election, but who's counting anyways, right? No, they are. Today at Ada County Elections, the team overseeing Idaho's most populated county, they hosted a question and answer session so they could answer our questions, answer community questions, and we can relay that to people that couldn't make it there. And one of those questions I've heard asked several times. So with people early voting and absentee voting, we know the ballots are out there for people to take a look at, talk about it with their friends and family. But the ballots being out there has created a question. Why are presidential candidates listed in a different order from some ballots to other ballots? For example, why do some people have former President Trump listed first? Others have Vice President Harris listed first. Other people have a presidential candidate they've never heard of. Okay, here's your answer.
Within the state, there are certain races that need to rotate depending on the size of the contest, and so any district that's over 100,000 registered voters has required random rotation. The way that you'll see it play out on our ballot, if you go look at the sample ballots, for instance, online, each precinct has a different order. So all the ballots within one precinct are going to be the same order, but the precinct next door is going to have a different order for those same candidates. And so that rotates throughout the county. So voters shouldn't expect that every ballot in the polling place will be different, but every ballot at every precinct will be rotated. And so that's how that works.
So why are they rotated? In terms of fairness, it would be unfair in such a large population if one candidate was just at the top, because there is studies that show that candidates at the top may just get a circled in from people that don't know what they're looking at. But anyways, keep those questions coming in. We love answering anything related to the elections. There are a lot of other things like evacuations ending, invasive species treatments, and chip sealing going on across R208. Hunter Funk's got the 411 in today's report.
Good news for the Valley Fire burning east of Boise. The Boise County Sheriff's Office has lifted all evacuation orders in the county. That includes the Roby Creek area. The fire is still just under 10,000 acres and is 90% contained. Idaho Fish and Game is wrapping up their quagga mussel treatment on the Snake River this weekend. It's the second year they're treating the invasive species with a copper-based treatment. The species can ruin the Snake River's ecosystem and cost Idaho millions of dollars if they're not eliminated. Good news for drivers, chip sealing is finally done. Ada County Highway District wrapped up the 2024 season after completing 301 miles of lanes. Next year, crews are taking on Zone 6, which includes Star, Eagle, and Meridian. A reminder for those heading to pick up anyone from the Boise airport. You can't use the old cell phone waiting area. The airport opened its new cell phone waiting area earlier this week. You can see the new location on your screen right next to the Economy and Shuttle lot on Curtis. That's about 5 minutes from the airport, which the airport says is about the same amount of time it takes for a passenger to walk from their gate to the curb. It's happening! Brundage Mountain Resort says it welcomed its first snowfall of the season today, with an inch of snow blanketing the mountain summit. And the snow is still falling. Brundage plans to open for the season Friday, November 29th, conditions permitting. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Hunter Funk.
It's pretty hard to miss the giant dog bed and breakfast in Cottonwood. But now they're switching gears from housing people and furry friends to housing history. Have you ever been to Dog Bark Park up in Cottonwood, Idaho? Tell us about your say, or maybe show us a picture or two. Or tell us anything about the show or the context of it by sending a text message with your name and hashtag the 208 to the number on your screen. 208-321-5614. Send your comments, questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever it is. We'll get to as many as we can live at the end of the show. It all started with a plan written on a napkin at a restaurant years ago, and since that time, this decision put Cottonwood, Idaho on the state's must-see map. Brian Holmes brought us a unique bed and breakfast on the Camas Prairie 7 years ago in an Idaho Life episode. Today we're bringing it back, and we'll tell you why after this week's redial.
Nestled in a town of just 900, along Highway 95, is a site that is more than just a must-see.
He is, isn't he?
It's a can't miss.
Those ears are...
It's Dog Bark Park, and he is...
Sweet Willie.
The Beagle is the brainchild of Francis Conklin and Dennis Sullivan, a bed and breakfast that draws people to the Camas Prairie to sleep in the belly of this 30-foot beast.
Yes, I know.
It was Dennis who started them on this canine career.
And a dog is just my favorite.
He spent 25 years as a building contractor, then followed his heart to the arts and taught himself.
So I just kept carving until finally I got something that people would identify.
To use a chainsaw.
Closer to a dog than an aardvark.
His hard work led to a quick shot at QVC, the home shopping channel, in 1995.
And they purchased 10,000 of our dogs.
And that was the beginning of Dog Bark Park.
2 of us.
An idea,
Francis and I,
decided over dinner one night that neither thought was far-fetched.
No.
We've been together now 5 years. She understood a little loopy.
A 3-month project took Dennis about 4 years to complete.
I wanted to enjoy the process of building it.
A true labor of love.
Simply that.
Now entering his 15th summer, Sweet Willie, seen here alongside iconic edifices like the Eiffel Tower and publications from around the planet, is now a standard stop for quirky world travelers and local school kids.
Mr. Engeldahl, one of the teachers then.
Tours have graced the grounds for 20 years.
So those kids stop now. We're in college.
Let's make a big U.
Here they'll hear about the carving studio, where they've made more than 34,000 wooden dogs of all sizes and breeds.
This is one that's been carved already.
But the big moment comes.
All right, if you'll follow me up, we'll
with the climb.
Go up the stairs. Yep.
To Willie's 2-room retreat, where the kids are fed facts about the hound-covered headboard.
This might be the only place you can sleep with 26 dogs and still get a good night's rest.
And learn the bathroom is appropriately housed in Willie's hind end.
I know, it's silly, isn't it?
It's a standard question for Francis, who every once in a while can see the silliness in this noble and absurd undertaking.
You go, I can't believe that this is where my life's gone. It feels so right.
All these years later, Dennis doesn't argue with that logic.
It's a magic kind of place that we've just had the privilege of stepping into.
Brian Holmes.
And it's just amazing. And I never tire of it.
Idaho's News Channel 7.
So we wanted to tell you there are now some new changes at Dog Bark Park for Sweet Willie and the whole Dog Bark Park family. Sweet Willie is going to the groomers, in a way. Yes, he has shed his coat of paint over the years. Dog shed, right? So time for a grooming. The family, Dennis Sullivan and Francis Conklin, they are also making a change to how people can visit. Take a listen.
As far as visually, this is the first change that people are seeing. He is getting a complete exterior refresh after these 20-some years of him being a sentinel out here on the prairie. And he got a new roof and, or should I say rough, to make a dog joke. New coat of paint all around, and his ears are currently off, awaiting new ears to be installed after the painting is done. And this is for, so he'll look nice for the next many years and allow him to continue to be the kind of iconic Idaho roadside attraction. He's retired, and my husband and I have retired from that. But we want him to look nice into the future and still invite people to stop by for photos and visit in our studio building. We also have retired from making our chainsaw carved dogs. So our little studio building / gift shop is slowly converting to a display of some of the works that we've done over the many, many years that my husband has been a chainsaw artist.
So it sounds like it's converting to more of a museum.
Yes, of sorts, an unofficial, a casual. And we will be open on also a casual basis, which kind of means if you're hoping to catch us, give us a call ahead of time, because we don't have any set business hours anymore.
So to be clear, the bed and breakfast portion of that business has ended. Again, though, folks are invited and welcome to stop by for a picture of the iconic Idaho four-legged friend. We'll be back.
What an incredible time lapse. And I want to share another view with you. We have snow to talk about today. For a lot of places, it's the first snowfall of the season, and we are talking about mountain snow yet, not quite the valley snow yet, but you can see this is the view from Donnelly earlier today, courtesy of Megan Metler. That was the view from her porch, and if we look out to the street, you can see more of that snow sticking to the grass, but melting on the actual street. So that's good news. Hopefully it stays that way in the colder overnight hours, and we're not talking about too much ice across that area. So we continue to see these scattered rain and snow showers throughout the day today. Those will taper off and continue to move on out to the east. And then tomorrow morning, we are seeing the temperatures trend down closer to freezing for more widespread valley locations. We warm up in the afternoon hours of Friday, but we'll still end up on the cool side, 40 to 50 degrees for those high temperatures. But then the freezing temperatures return in the valleys once again closer to Saturday morning. So between both tomorrow morning and Saturday morning, just prepare for the freezing temperatures in the valleys. You can see some of those showers sticking around right now. Been pretty consistent, but light over towards Twin Falls. As I mentioned, that moisture will move on out to the east, but we also have a chance of a light snow in parts of Magic Valley tomorrow, so make sure that you prepare for that as well. May throw off your morning commute a little bit. You can see the cold temperatures sticking around both Friday and Saturday mornings before we see those high temperatures warm up closer to average for this time of year.
All right, folks, let's get to some of your comments to end the half hour. We will start with this one. If the open primary passes, will there be just one primary? Yeah, there will just be one primary election. All the parties will be involved. The top 4 vote getters, regardless of their party, will all end up on the November general election, and then they will do the ranked choice voting format from there. But to answer your question, yes, if Prop 1 passes, there would only be one primary. Next question, comment. Hey, Joe, regarding the tourist story in Stanely on today, please mention Crouch and Garden Valley. Our local businesses are still taking a huge hit. Almost all of our hunter-driven tourism has stopped on top of that hit from the fire themselves. So, yes, we want to give a shout-out to Crouch, Garden Valley, all the surrounding areas. Get up there, support the communities. It is beautiful this time of year. We have time for one more. Yes, this person says they'd like to go to Stanely, but their electric vehicle won't let them. We will find out what that's about another time. Have a good day.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.